It's this beautiful and large circular motif that's quite lacy. On this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the Pulsar motif. I'm going to be using a 4mm hook and some cotton yarn size 4. So we're going to start with a slip knot and we're going to start with a base ring. For your base ring, you want to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we want to close off this ring by doing a slip stitch to the first chain that you made. Insert your hook into that chain, grab the yarn, and pull through to close. And we're going to be working into the center of the ring. Now for row 1, we're going to start by doing a chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we're going to do a slip stitch into the 6th chain from the hook. So we find the 6th chain from the hook. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Insert your hook there and then do a slip stitch. Now this is going to count as a double crochet and a picot stitch. Let me just untwist my work here. There we go. So this kind of loop that has formed is the picot, and then that chain 2 is the double crochet. Now we're going to start the row repeat. We're going to do 4 double crochets into the ring. So into the ring, 4 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we want to do a picot stitch. For a picot stitch, we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to do a slip stitch into the top of the last double crochet that you made. So you go to the top of the double crochet you just made and there do a slip stitch. And now we want to do this 6 more times. So the repetition is 4 double crochets and then a picot stitch, which is a chain 5, and then a slip stitch into the last double crochet that you made. So 6 more times. I'm going to do it once again with you. We're going to do 4 double crochets into the ring. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and now a picot stitch, which is a chain 5. And then you want to do a slip stitch to the last double crochet that you made. So you insert your hook into the top of that stitch and work a slip stitch. That's my second repetition of this, like the 4 double crochet, picot, 4 double crochet, picot. We want to do this 5 more times. I'll do that off camera and I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so I just went all the way around doing those 4 double crochets and picot stitches. Once you're done, you'll have 8 picot stitches. So this is the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then to finish off the row, we're just going to do 3 double crochets into the ring. And it gets quite tight. Honestly, I had to kind of push my stitches to the side because it gets a little tight. This is my second. And now this is my third. Gotta move the picot out of the way there. And now we're gonna finish off by doing a slip stitch to the chain that's right before this picot stitch. So again, because it's kind of tight and I'm kind of hitting it, but it's the 2 chains that counted as a double crochet. So right under the picot stitch, I'm going to go into that chain and do a slip stitch. And this here is the end of row 1. For row 2, we're going to start by doing 2 slip stitches into the first picot stitch. Essentially, we're going to try and get ourselves to the top of the picot. So for that, we are going to go into the hole of the picot and do 1 slip stitch. And then do that again into the hole of the picot and do 2 slip stitches. So now we're at the top of it. And from here, we're going to do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3, which counts as a double crochet. And then into the same picot, we're going to work 1 double crochet Here's one. And, oh, sorry, just the one is what I said. And then we want to do a chain 2. And then into the same picot, 2 double crochets. That's one, and into the same one, a second one. And so this is what that's going to look like. Now we can start the row repeat. The row repeat starts by chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And into the next picot stitch, we're going to work what we're going to call a V-stitch. For a V-stitch, you want to do 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochets. So let's yarn over, go into the picot stitch, and do 2 double crochets. That's my first one. That's my second. Then a chain 2, and then into the same stitch, 2 double crochets. That's 1 and 2. And that ends the row repeat. So basically we're going to be working a chain 4, and then into the next picot a V-stitch, which is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. I'm going to do it one more time with you. Chain 4, into the next picot, 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and into the same space another 2 double crochets. That's 1, 2. And this is what we want to do all the way around. Chain 4 and then the V-stitch into the picots. I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, and I just went all the way around here. So I just did my last V-stitch into the last picot stitch. So to finish off this row, we're just going to do our last chain 4. And then we're going to insert our hook into the top of the chain 3 that we started with to do a slip stitch. And this here is the end of row 2. Now for row 3, we're going to be doing a slip stitch into the next double crochet and into the chain space. So into the next stitch, a slip stitch, and into the chain space, a slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, and into the same chain space, we're going to do 1 double crochet, a chain 2, and into the same chain space, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And as you can see, all of this together counts as our V-stitch. Now to start the row repeat, we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to find the next chain 2 space, and into it work a V-stitch. For a V-stitch, remember we want 2 double crochets. That's 1, 2. Then a chain 2, and into the same space, 2 double crochets. And there we have it. So for this row, it's quite simple. You're just going to do a chain 6, and then into the next chain 2 space, work your V-stitch of 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Then you go back to your chain 6, find the next chain 2 space, and do your V-stitch. Do that all the way around, and I'll see you when you're done. Okay, I just went all the way around, and I just did my last V-stitch into the last chain 2 space. So to finish off this row, we're just going to do our final chain 6. And we're going to find that top of the chain 3 that you started with and do your slip stitch. This here is the end of row 3. For row 4, we're going to do a slip stitch into the next double crochet and chain space. And from this point, we're going to do a chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. Then into the same space, 1 double crochet, a chain 2, and into the same space, another double crochet. Now to begin the row repeat, we're going to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to find the chain 2 space in the next V-stitch, and into it do a V-stitch. So for a V-stitch, you know, you're going to do the 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and then into the same space, 2 double crochets. And this is what we're going to do all the way around. You're going to work a chain 8, find the next V-stitch, the next chain 2 space of the next V-stitch, and into it do a V-stitch. So it's kind of self-explanatory. We're just doing 2 more chains than the previous row in between, and then V-stitch. So do that all the way around, chain 8, then V-stitch into the chain 2 space, and I'll see you when you're done. Okay, I just went all the way around here. I did my last V-stitch into the last chain 2 space, my final chain 8, and now to finish off this row, we're going to do a slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that you started with. Insert your hook into it, grab the yarn, and pull through to close. This here is the end of row 4, and now we're going to do our final row, row 5. So for it, we're going to do a slip stitch into the next double crochet and into the first chain space. Now we're going to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and we're going to do 4 double crochets into the same chain space. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to skip the next 2 double crochets. We're going to find our chain 8, and around the chain I'm going to work 8 single crochets. So around the chain space we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's the repetition we want all the way around. Into the chain 2 spaces, we're going to work 5 double crochets. And into the chain space, around the chain 8 spaces, we're going to work 8 single crochets. So I'll do it once again with you. We find the next chain 2 space and work 5 double crochets. Now we're going to find the next chain 8 space and around it work 8 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is what it's going to look like. So you want to do that all the way around. You're going to work 5 double crochets in the chain 2 spaces, 8 single crochets in the chain spaces, in the chain 8 spaces. Once you finish off, you're going to do your final 8 single crochets into the last chain 8 space, and then you're going to do a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that you started with. Cut off your yarn and thread your ends through. And look how stunning this is. This is obviously lacy. It kind of looks like a flower in the middle, and then like a bit of a garden overall, I guess. So it's lacy, it's open, it's got a bit of a solid circular center, and then petals around it. Real stunning. Hey, while you're at it, why don't you just subscribe to my channel? Just do it. Just do it.